Hello again, everyone. I'm Tom Dorado. Welcome to the Eddie Sutton Show. Some call it the third season, others the real season, and purists just like to refer to it as the season. But I think we can all agree on one thing. It's the most exciting time of the year when it comes to college basketball, March Madness. And Eddie, there's nothing like the emotion we're going to see and hear over the next couple of weeks.
It is a very exciting time, and college basketball, has grown by leaps and bounds the last few years. I can remember in 1978 we took the Razorbacks to the Final Four. Today, a Sweet 16's like the regional, or like the Final Four was at that time. But this week it's tournament week, and of course we're going into Kansas City to play in the Big 12. We'll be playing the winner of the Kansas State game, and I guess by the time this show goes on the air, that game will have already been played.
You know, along that same line, we're not getting ahead of ourselves, but as you look at the NCAA tournament, which comes up next week, there was a time when the NIT actually had more stature, and I know a lot of people can't believe that now, than the NCAA tournament.
The NIT at one time, way back in the 40s and early 50s, I think it did have more prestige. The national championship has been played since the late 30s, but today the Final Four and the March Madness, the NCAA tournament, has to be one of the great sporting events that we have in our country.
Because he can stay riveted week after week after week. It's a great climax at the end.
It builds over a 3-week period.
Okay, let's look at our own club now. Again, as people watch this, we're in Kansas City and hopefully wrapping that up in Kansas City, a Big 12 tournament championship. But coming out of this week, earlier in the week, coming out of the Oklahoma game, what was the mindset of this club?
Well, I think there was great disappointment because we had beaten the University of Oklahoma when we played them earlier in Norman. It was a game where there was too much hoopla. The last game being played in Gallagher-Iba as we know it, senior night. And yet we got out on the University of Oklahoma, and something that hasn't happened to me very often in my coaching career, to lose a game at home when you have a big lead. And we had a 13-point lead with about 11 minutes to go in the game. And you can't take anything away from their ball club. They certainly continue to compete. But we just made too many defensive mistakes, missed some free throws, missed a couple layups, and all of a sudden we have a chance at the buzzer to tie it. We miss it, and we lose by 3. And I think the fact that, anytime you lose to Oklahoma is a big game. But I think what the disappointment really was is that it hurt our seeding in the NCAA tournament and even hurt us in our seeding in the Big 12 tournament. By winning, we're the number 2 seed in the Big 12 tournament. We're either going to play Colorado or Texas A&M, and instead you drop down to the 4th seed, and now you got to play the winner of Kansas State. And when you play Kansas in the Big 12, you're like playing in Allen Fieldhouse East. I mean, they have so many fans there. And then next week in the NCAA, there's no doubt that the loss hurt us as far as the seeding there. So, I think on Sunday and on Monday, everybody was still a little despondent. But by Tuesday, we had a great practice, and Wednesday we had a great practice. And I think our ball club has put that out of their minds. I told them, I said, winners look forward to see the opportunity that something great can happen. Losers dwell on what has happened, and I think we finally got it out of their minds, but it took a couple of days to do it.
I look back to another year when we came back. This was a road game, albeit, but still came back very despondent after really playing Kansas pretty tough in Allen Fieldhouse. Ironically, it was Kansas again. Came back here, down, went to Kansas City, won 3, and I think that year we kept winning and ended up in Seattle, didn't we?
We won 4 more in the NCAA tournament and ended up in the Final Four, led by Big Country and Randy Rutherford and the rest of that great ball club. And, that's the thing that I told this team. We're good enough to play with most people, and we really put it on the line and play our best basketball. We've proven that this year. And we'll just hope we can get on a run in Kansas City and then wherever we're assigned next Sunday in the NCAA tournament.
As Eddie mentioned, it was a senior night as well, and every senior class leaves behind its own legacy. Each group of young men has its own special quality. And this past weekend, Oklahoma State saw 7 seniors make their final home appearances. That's the most since 1948-49. Their work obviously is far from being done, but here's our tribute to OSU's version of the Magnificent 7.
Coming in as a freshman, I always thought that my days were going to last forever, and now that, my days are shortened, it's like I wanted to last forever, and it's coming to an end, but I became a better man here in Oklahoma State, and I've enjoyed my stay. met a lot of people here and, made new friends. And like you said, starting early, I didn't always think my future would end here. I had a rocky road, and, having that rocky road has made me become a better man.
You got a heart so big it could crush this.
Thank Coach every day for allowing me to come to Oklahoma State after my short stint with Arkansas. And I think tonight, even though I've only been here for like 3 years, I can't say I'm gonna be very emotional, but I'm gonna be sad somewhat that I couldn't be under his tutelage for the full 4 years like Desmond and Joe have been, and Alex.
Sometimes you're happy, sometimes you cry. Half of me is ocean, half of me is sky.
Went by quick. I can remember my first Midnight Madness, our basketball bash, whatever. It's the first time I took the court here, and this being the last, it's a special night. Emotions are hard because we have a bunch of emotional guys and guys that are been through a lot. I mean, you go from Glendon and myself, 2 guys who have transferred, and a guy like Desmond who's made himself into a great basketball player, Joe Adkins who's played in his home state and had just a great senior year here, and on down the line, Alex Weber's been through a lot, and so every one of us has our own emotional, ties to Oklahoma State.
I was just really immature coming in here in all aspects of life, not learning much coming out of high school and being through problems as a youngster. But I've learned a lot here, and I've grown a lot, and Coach has helped me do that, and just experiences and failures and things like that. But like I said, I'm a man now as I leave, and I'm glad of that. That's always been my goal, is just to make the NCAA tournament, watching on TV throughout high school. I mean, it just looks fun, but. The years I've been there, I've had a lot of fun, played against some great teams, and we're right back in it again. But this time, like I said, I'm tired of losing the second round, and I think we're going to go out. We got the team to go out and do some damage in the tournament, so all we have to do is go out and get our minds right, and we can get it done.
Something that has really been a blessing to me and my family and my friends and everybody is to seeing me step up and be a contributor this year and playing really hard, and just working over the last couple of years, getting better every year, and just being patient and listening to Coach and everybody. This has just been a blessing to me, and I just like to thank everybody for helping me. Coming here has just been a tremendous help, not being babied and being pushed, and working for everything that I've gotten on the court and off the court. And it's just something that the coaching staff have done a real good job of, is just preparing me as a player and a better person in life.
It was difficult at first last year. You're always in high school, you're the star. In junior college, you're one of the best players. You got to come in here and kind of put your personal pride to the side and just do whatever you can to help the team. And my role is to come out here and play hard every day and get these guys ready for their games. I've always made good grades. That's the main reason I came to Oklahoma State, is to get an education. And I'm just glad I can keep my grades up while still helping this team get better and win.
Yeah, it's been a long 4 years, and it's sad to see it end. Glad to have bounced back and been able to be a part of this team this year, and that's a good word for it. It's special because this team has a chance to go a long way.
But you got a heart so big it could crush this
great piece, and you know, this team is 23-5, getting ready for the Big 12 and the NCAA tournament. These young men have given a great deal to Oklahoma State University, and the thing that is so impressive, and you know them as almost as well as I do, they are great ambassadors for OSU, wonderful human beings, and they will go on to be very successful when they get out in the real world.
One of the great things about your job and mine, since we're around them all the time, is to see them from where they start to where they finish and how they grow, not just with points and rebounds and assists, but how they grow as young men and how they're going to be productive citizens when they get out.
That probably has kept me in coaching as long as it has, knowing that in some small way my staff and being around them, you can help mold and help these guys mature.
Well, we wish them all the best. And of course, as we said, there's a lot of work still ahead for that senior class. It was also a big night for Gallagher-Iba Arena. When we come back, we'll show you what you might have missed.
The Eddie Sutton Show is
Gallagher-Iba Arena, the rowdiest arena in the country.
How about you guys? Got an extra couple? I need two.
You know, you all know by now the doors on Gallagher-Iba Arena were pulled shut for the final time last Saturday night as the Cowboys played their last home game of the year. They are scheduled to open again in about 10 months, and one of college basketball's true tradition-rich arenas will have a new look, but will retain that Oklahoma State spirit. If you were on hand for all the ceremonies, you can consider yourself one of the lucky ones. If you weren't, then here's another look.
Another turning point, a fork stuck in the road. Time grabs you by the wrist, directs you where to go. So make the best of this test and don't ask why. It's not a question but a lesson learned in time. It's something unpredictable, but in the end is right. I hope you had the time of your life. So take the photographs and still frames in your mind, hanging on a shelf in good health and good time.
With us tonight to honor her grandfather, Edward C. Gallagher, please welcome Karen Gallagher.
It's something unpredictable, but in the end is right. I hope you had the time of your life.
But in honor of Coach Iba, we will now remove his seats from the arena and give them a special place of honor when the Athletic Center reopens in December. We're going to bottle the spirit and open it up when we open up the Athletic Center. Let's hear it. Give it up. Bring on the noise. Raise the roof on Gallagher-Iba Arena.
It's something unpredictable, but in the end it's right. I hope you had the time of your life. It's something unpredictable, but in the end it's right. I hope you had the time of your life. It's something unpredictable, but in the end is right. I hope you had the time of your life.
nice feature, and when that project is completed, it's going to be a showcase, but it certainly has tested all of our patience up to this point.
That's the first chance you got to see what went on at halftime. Obviously, you weren't out there on the court to see it all.
That's right. I was trying to give a halftime talk, but it didn't work very well.
Maybe you should have come out and watched some of the ceremonies. But indeed, it was a great night and one that we'll remember for quite some time. We've got the notebook, we've got the question of the week, and a lot more still ahead on the Eddie Sutton Show.
Coach Sutton contest.
Well, there's your question, huh?
Well, it is a good question. You know, I had some games where I scored a lot more points, but I thought one of the best games I ever played in, because of the importance of the contest, was when I hit 9 field goals against the University of Kansas when we beat Wilt Chamberlain and the Jayhawks in 1957, the old set shot.
And it was outside the arc. If there had been an arc,
I'd have had 27.
You know, you might have been the best pure three-point shooter the school has ever had, and you tell them that all the time. But you know, you look back at that game, the monumental status of that one. Wilt comes to town. That had to be big.
It was a happening, and I think I've told this story before, because we did upset Kansas. They were either number 1 or number 2. They dismissed classes the next day. Now, you wouldn't see that happen today, even if you probably won the national championship. I'm not sure that Dr. Halligan would turn school out.
You can lobby for it. I don't think you get it. Okay, let's turn our attention now to this week's notebook. A couple of items of interest up there that we want to talk about. And the first one, obviously quite timely, because it's how many? And we're talking about 5 or 6 teams going to the NCAA tournament.
Well, there's 5 teams in the Big 12 that are locks, and unless somebody wins out that's not one of the top 6 teams, that they're not going to go. I mean, you'd have to have a Texas Tech win all the games, or a Nebraska or someone like that. But I think Missouri could win a couple of games up there, and they certainly, in my opinion, are deserving to be in the big dance. They're a good basketball team.
Earlier this week, the AP All-Conference teams were announced, and I don't think there was any surprise on the first team except maybe Tinsley.
Well, I think for when you look at Pfizer, Nahara, Mason, Mim, everybody was going to pick them. Then when it came to that 5th spot, there were 3 or 4 players, and Tinsley certainly had an outstanding year, and he was on the team that won the round robin, the regular season. So, I mean, he certainly is deserving of that. I was happy Brian Montonati made 3rd team AP.
You know, it's never too early to start talking about camps, basketball camps, and if you're thinking about it right now, now's the time to make a call.
Well, it's one of the fun times of the year for me, because, you know, there's no pressure in winning. The recruiting is over to a certain degree, and you get to work with young players and young people, and I always look forward to the summertime. So if anyone is interested in coming to our basketball camp, all they got to do is call my office, and we'll send them a brochure.
I know that telephone number. I may be calling quickly, my grandson. We're going to come back to wrap it all up after this final timeout. Well, welcome back to the show. Eddie, Selection Sunday is upon us.
You know, the tournament is so exciting, but it also is exciting on Sunday afternoon to see where you're going, who you're going to play, and to see where everybody else in your conference is going. And, you know, normally we either gather at one place at the arena, or if we're in Kansas City, we go to the hotel. This week, if we don't win the tournament, we're not playing that championship game on Sunday, I guess we'll probably have to go to my house, because we have no cable in Gallagher-Iba.
And we need to know before they put that cable in. But that's always such a hectic time, because when you find out where you're going, you find out what days, Thursday, Saturday, Friday, Sunday, you start making plans, planes, all these things have to be put together in about a day.
Well, Sunday evening also, you start hustling around once you find out who your opponent is, trying to get film, trying to get scouting reports, things like that.
Well, indeed, it's going to be an exciting time. Hopefully we'll have a nice, exciting place to go. That's all the time we have for this week's show. When we come back next week, we'll be talking about the NCAA tournament. For Eddie Sutton, our entire crew here at Educational Television Services, Tom Dorado. Goodbye, everybody.